Hi, I'm Michaela from Questacon, the National Science and Technology Centre in Canberra. I'm fascinated by the stars, the planets, and just the magnitude of the universe. But what does it take to go from interest to expertise? We asked the experts themselves what it was that inspired them to pursue a career in space.
What sparked my interest in space is, well, I'm a space lawyer. So I'm interested in regulating and governing human activity in space. I'm interested in what we're doing really with the near-Earth environment. So the way that we launch satellites, the way we use satellites, the way we can manage huge problems like space debris, space junk, the way we can hopefully prevent an armed conflict from taking place in space, space mining, human habitation in space, space tourism. I'm really focused on how we can be really good space citizens. So for the safety, security and sustainability of space for us now, because we're so dependent on space for our 21st century lives, but also for the future. I'm really concerned about intergenerational responsibility as a lawyer and about good space citizenship.
One of the areas that excited me about space was probably the Voyager mission, and particularly the time they turned the Voyager spacecraft around and looked back at Earth and it was a little blue dot. I think pausing and reflecting and realising that we have a beautiful Earth here and it's just one part of a very big universe just really was a moment to pause and think about what that meant and the opportunities to explore.
When I was a kid, space was in the atmosphere. It was all around us. The idea of going into space was very much in the news, in the media, and it happened within a few years. I was still at school when the first astronaut orbited the Earth. We were totally inspired, and that never left me. All my peers at school were keen on space. They all went off and did sensible things like engineering and medicine and things of that sort. I never grew up, I'm afraid. I've been interested in space since childhood.
When I was, I think in 4th grade, so 8 or 9, the Viking probes left Earth to go to Mars. And they orbited Mars and made these amazing maps, and then they landed successfully. And so those two probes happened right when I was becoming interested in space. I remember my parents bought me a telescope because I was so interested, and we looked at Jupiter, and of course we looked at Mars. Can I say Jupiter was a lot more interesting than Mars? Mars was only a little red fuzzy blob, not much else. And you know, I wanted for my entire childhood to see the polar caps on Mars. That was like a life goal. And I'm afraid I had to wait until I became an astronomy student at the University of Arizona and up on top of Mount Lemmon with the 61-inch telescope. So that's a big old telescope. I went and said, I'm going to take the instrument off. Probably wasn't supposed to do that. Put the eyepiece in, and I finally saw the polar caps of Mars.
What first sparked my interest in space? It was looking up at the stars when I was very young, living in Ireland and wondering what they were, but wondering also about the darkness between the stars. Was it black because there were no stars? Was it black because there was something blocking the light? Was it black because there was something invisible there? Well, yeah, actually all three. So that started me on my journey.
My interest in space was very much sparked through my love of maths. From a very young age, maths was the only subject that I was really any good at. I was kind of rubbish at everything else, and that gave me a huge amount of confidence. I loved solving problems. I loved the sense of achievement that I get when I do solve a really challenging problem. And so when I was thinking about that age-old question, what are you going to be when you grow up? I wanted to use maths. That was my one thing. I wanted to use maths every day. And that very much led me down the world of physics, which I kind of see as like an applied mathematics. It's kind of like an extension of maths. So it just seemed to go perfectly together. And I also think what has kind of kept me in science and learning about space is that I get to explore the significance of astronomy and science within my own heritage, within my Aboriginal ancestry, and I think that it just gives it so much meaning for me and helps me continue to do what I do.
So what do you think? There's still so many things about Mars and the universe that we're yet to discover. We live in an amazing time of space exploration, and I can't wait to see where our curiosity and persistence takes us.